What's up, E3 members? Exciting day today. Jumping in the Carbon Cub and flying around South Florida. We're here at Banyan Air Service outside of one of their hangars, and I'm pretty excited because the last time I was down here flying, I was in an F-16, ripping around a little bit faster. Today we're going to be maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little bit slower, but Brian and I are going to jump in the Carbon Cub and go fly around South Florida. It's going to be awesome. So Brian, you want to go brief it up?
Yeah, I mean, you know, what's so great about the Carbon Cub is those of you that fly it know, it's like you're up in the mountains and landing in grass strips and short takeoff, the whole stall. I mean, it's so awesome. But you know, when you get to fly this around like up Miami Beach or on the ocean, brings a whole new perspective to it. So I'm excited to do that today. So we're gonna fly today we're gonna head down south of Fort Lauderdale into Miami. And it's an interesting flight because we're going through a whole bunch of airspaces. Unlike you flying in the F-16, you got like, they give you a big waiver and you can do whatever you want. Right. Well, unfortunately, we've got a whole bunch of airspaces and levels that we got to deal with as we're going down and kind of duplicating your flights. But we're going to start here, runway 9 out of Fort Lauderdale Executive, and we're going to get a straight out. And then we're going to take a right turn over the beach, and we'll be somewhere 500, 700 feet. And we should be getting from Fort Lauderdale Fort Lauderdale International, hopefully right down the beach, but we could get stay 3 miles off coast outside their Class C there. And then as soon as we pass their Class C, they'll tell us to rejoin. And then immediately we're into Miami's airspace. So, the first veil is not a big deal. We're below 3,500 feet. But as we get that a little more south down into Miami, we're gonna have to find a place like Hollover Inlet to make the cut into the intercoastal. So we're gonna head in the intercoastal. And then that intercoastal kind of cuts in half where the next veil comes down. The floor comes way down, and we're gonna navigate underneath that. Hopefully Miami will be with us the whole time, and they're awesome, Don. I gotta tell you, Miami controllers, shout out to you guys because you've been so great to all of us that like to do this flight. It's a very interesting flight, and we'll be right down by city of Miami. We're gonna take a left out Governor's Cut, head down around Key Biscayne, down into Stiltsville, which is really cool. You get to see some of that, and then we'll come up Miami Beach and back up into Fort Lauderdale here. So it'll be an interesting flight and a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to you getting to see it at not 600 knots, but you're going to get to see it and actually look at stuff at about 100 knots or so. So this should be fun for you too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You did mention the Miami controllers, and I'll say I did a lot of air shows. I did a lot in Florida, so there's some bias there. But there's always a controller that's usually at one of these air shows that you get to meet. And the Miami controllers, again, shout out to them because I think those are the only ones I still stay in contact with, which is kind of a rare thing to do. But they're used to the F-16 coming down there being the wrecking ball, and they were always very helpful dealing with me. They probably just wanted me to land as soon as possible to get out of the way, but exactly. Awesome.
All right, cool. Let's do our briefing and then we'll get going.
Sounds good.
All right, let's go. All right, John, so here we are in the E3 Carbon Cub FX3. So I'm gonna just do a quick briefing and we'll run through what we have here in the plane, safety equipment, all that kind of. I gotta say though, it feels weird giving you a briefing, but
different plane, I'm used to big old planes now.
We gotta follow protocol and stuff. So anyway, of course, we're gonna start here. We've got our mixture, our throttle, fuel pump on for a couple of seconds. We've got our autopilot. You do have a level button on. This is the IBBS. Awesome here. Then we got our master switch, avionics switch. This is our fuel pump. We will use this on takeoff and landing. You come across the top here, you'll see we've got our fuel. Right above your head, we got our Garmin inReach. When you use the flaps, you're gonna give it a little back pressure, pull the trigger. As you're coming down, let the trigger go. Unlike your F-16, there's not a whole lot of buttons in here, but you hit that and fly. So in this plane, we're going to be basically, we'll do all our run-ups and all that kind of stuff, and then we get on the runway cleared for takeoff. Of course, we're going to be taxiing appropriately where our stick's going to be. As soon as we give a go to takeoff, you're going to go full back on the stick, full throttle, 1001, 1002, 1003, we're flying.
That's wild.
So I'm a little heavy, so today will be maybe 1,003.5.
Yeah, a couple potatoes.
But that's basically what we're gonna do. So we'll just get the ball rolling. And in this plane, you're not gonna get a speed indicator. It's going so slow that it doesn't even get, so you're kind of feeling the plane, as you know. So you're just gonna have to feel it and give it a little forward pressure, and then you'll know when she's gonna wanna come off the ground. We'll probably climb out. We'll just keep it easy, like a little bit under 2,000 feet a minute in this plane. We certainly going to watch the airspeed on the climb out, and then so we'll do our flight. And what we'll do is when we get to level, grab both the throttle and the prop. This makes it easy, and you just come back with both of them at the same time, until the prop gets to 2300.
Okay.
Then just let the prop go and bring the throttle back to 2300. We'll just fly around at 2300 squared. Nice easy speed. We might even slow it down so we can see more.
Okay.
But pretty much we'll just leave prop at 2300 for the whole flight until we coming back in. Of course, the fuel pump will come off at takeoff and flaps will come off at takeoff. And I'll run the checklist for you.
Okay.
We'll go through that. Then coming back in, we're gonna probably come back to about 1500 and then get our speed down to flap speed when we're in the pattern. Then on our approach, it's not typical, as you know. You actually might do this in the F-15, I'm not sure, but F-16 I should say, I'm not sure, but it's not pitched for the power or pitched for the point power for airspeed. In this plane, it's, you know, we're gonna look at the wingtips. We want them up a few degrees from the horizon, and then it's power to just basically sink into a 3-point landing. And we want to be over the numbers right about 55 knots.
Okay.
As soon as we're close to the ground, keep coming back into power, keep pulling back, and we should be like a marshmallow that just drops onto the, if we do it right.
Yeah, a marshmallow. We'll see. We'll see what happens there.
So that's pretty much what the day's going to look like. And any questions?
No, I know we're going to be talking a good bit when we're flying around, and I'm excited to do this. It's been about a year and a half since I've been in the Carbon Cub, so this will be fun.
Cool. We're going to have a blast for sure. So we'll get our seatbelts on, get in there, and get rolling.
Awesome.
Okay, let's go.
Let's do it. Clear.
Then executive ground, Carbon Cub 61 Charlie Kilo. November 41 Mike.
Then we're going to go into 10 degrees flaps.
We can see the blue fuel pump. We can go.
Fuel pump on.
On.
And you want to be
November 61
straight.
Charlie Kilo fly.
Brakes
Straight out,
on.
main clear the class Charlie airspace. Runway 9 clear for takeoff.
Way to go, straight out, 61 Charlie Kilo.
All right, here we go.
1001,
November 67 Mike 0. Start the traffic at your block
forward. And you can fly whenever you want.
All right, here. Isn't that awesome? That thing wants to go.
Easy up.
The last time I'm flying over this piece of land, I'm probably doing about 600 knots or so. A little bit lower than this, making a little bit more noise. The last pass you make, you know, most of the, obviously the show's happening out in front of the beach because that's where all the people are, but there's some maneuvers you have to go behind the crowd, and we're gonna fly the dedication pass routing basically, which is flowing out this direction, accelerating out, dropping down to about 200 feet, and then coming across the crowd, doing about 600 plus knots, and you're pulling a sustained 9.5 G pull for about 15 seconds. I mean, the scenery doesn't get much better than here. I know you kind of talking about beforehand, like flying around the mountains. Obviously, it's a very different perspective, but for me, it's really cool to be able to do something like this, you know, because there's so much cool stuff to look at that you just don't get that opportunity to do that anywhere else, you know. But going fast in F-16, you're really looking at big reference points, so that's why I would use these bridges as my reference points. Being down low, that's where the fun is. All the, you know, the buildings, you can see people out occasionally, like on the boats, they really waving their hands or waving a towel or something like that. Again, I always kind of take a minute to kind of appreciate just how cool and awesome this is, but coming down the government cut, again, this is where now I'd really be dropping it down low, you know, about 200 feet. If I wasn't at 550 plus, I'd be getting there trying to get to 600. You know, I'm looking at this building, and you know, you kind of think of like, you know, there are people standing here, one, that probably don't hear me coming. That F-16 is going to come ripping around this building in a minute, but there's a really cool photo of me at 90 degrees of bank up here, and a guy who's standing on the balcony. I can assume he's drinking a beer. You know, you just got full plane form of the Viper just ripping around. photo is the guy standing on the balcony. Not a bad spot to be. So the government cut, that was the furthest point south, because instead of turning right like we did, I'd be turning north, starting a 9+ G pull, doing the dedication pass. Spread the sound of freedom.
Then we're heading into the bay here. We're down to Stiltsville. If you look at like your 11 o'clock right now, or 10 o'clock, you'll see some little houses on the water out there. And they're kind of lined up. So those are, we'll just go like southwest, and then make the turn and go between them. And then come back up around the lighthouse, and then we go up the coastline. Really fun flight. So anybody wants to do this flight, this is a really great flight to do, really scenic. You could do either the west side of the intercoastal or the east side of the intercoastal on the inside, and then head back up north on the ocean.
We're approaching it. You can see the beach. I mean, there's a ton of people on it. And Memorial Day weekend, you know, they estimated, I think, like 1.5 million people per day. Yeah, instead of 100 knots here, again, be doing about 600, 620 knots, and starting that 9.5 G pull. You know, so it's a little bit more comfortable and easier on the spine on this flight. I can enjoy a little bit more of the scenery. Beach shows are a little bit different. You have these really long shorelines, and again, you can be down low out here, but again, you can't cross over a building at 50 feet. That's going to get a lot of attention in a bad way. So you got to kind of start to climb up. You can see they're the highest point, and about this point, you know, we're like a mile. You know, again, you're still going about 550, 575 in through here, and just start the gradual climb to get up above the buildings. And then a nice solid 9G pull to start bleeding that energy to work the rejoin with the P-51 and the F-35, or depending on what year, F-22, P-51. They're out there and they're flowing down government cut right now. So you're finished a 9.5 G pull, because the goal here is to rejoin in front of the crowd, which you're managing, trying to pick up the visual, lose about 400 knots, and then work all the geometry to rejoin with those guys right at show center without overshooting. So again, this is a little bit easier on the neck and back right now, which is kind of nice.
No 9G.
Not a bad day to go flying, you know?
Got below 500, 3 miles offshore, go on, Charlie.
Well, E3 members, that was awesome. I hope you enjoyed today's flight. For me, it's awesome to be able to jump in a Carbon Cub, completely different than an F-16 or a 777, which might be apparent in the video, but to go retrace my steps in the F-16, doing the demo over South Beach, who gets to say they get to do that? I hope you enjoyed it. We got a lot more coming your way.